Hello guys, Mark Lyons here. Alright, so we are going to do our third bass lesson in my bass lesson series we're putting up on YouTube. So far we've gone through the two pentatonic scales, major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, and so now I want to show how those scales can be used. I'm going to use a couple of bass lines that are very common. We're going to start off with a gospel bass line that I did at a gig here just like a couple of weeks ago. So first off, I want you to make sure you got your metronome, make sure you're all tuned up, make sure you got your notepad, your music notepad. Go ahead and open it up and write down again the date, and it's going to pentatonic exercises, and write down your metronome settings, which is going to be, I believe on this one, where are we going to be at 100 beats per minute, 4/4 time. And here we go. This particular one, I'll go ahead and just kind of kick on the metronome and start playing the line. It's going to go something like this. This one goes like this. Okay, and so what I want to explain in this one, we're dealing with primarily minor pentatonic, a couple of changes. I mentioned to you that with these two scales, once you know these two scales, you can do a lot of different lines. There's a lot of blues notes, and also you can borrow from one another. So if you're doing a minor pentatonic scale, and you hear something that you think is going to sound cool, sound hip, but the note isn't necessarily in that scale, but you know it's in the major pentatonic scale, you can just go ahead and throw that note in there, and eventually we'll go over what all those notes are combined in one single scale, which would actually come to, I believe, it's like a Mixolydian mode with a raised 9, if you were to put all those notes in one scale. But anyway, for this one, minor pentatonic on A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1. And I told you in our, when we first started going over the scales, that this would be your box pattern, starting with the forefinger here. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go to a second box pattern, which is, we'll call it box B. When you slide down a whole step, and what you're doing is you're getting the beginning of the scale, or what we would call the root, with your ring finger. You're getting the minor 7, the minor 7, the flat 7, the 7th interval with your forefinger. You're also getting the 3rd interval with your forefinger right below it. You throw a little, what we would call in gospel or old R&B, they call it, throw a little thing on there, or like we do with the A. Get a little tremolo on there. There's some other elements going on, like we're swinging the rhythm, which is something we'll get into a little bit later. But for right now, box B, we're going. And we're also borrowing actually from the major pentatonic, because we're going actually. Those are all blues notes, and we're going to go over the blues scale here really quick because it's going to be super simple. But anyway, here we go. We're going. All pretty simple. All part of the minor pentatonic. We're just kind of borrowing that one note. You might call this actually a major scale where you're playing the major third and you're using the raised 9. There's another way of looking at it, which is how I would actually kind of look at it, speaking from the harmony perspective. Then we go up to the D, little chromatic step. Now, this is all, you could call it the major pentatonic, because we're starting off, it's the major pattern. So here we are with our minor pattern. Here we are at the major pattern. The only thing we're doing here is we're borrowing a couple more intervals from the minor pentatonic, but we're playing it in the major pentatonic scale. We're going to look at it that way. I know it's harmonically speaking, we'll move on from here. But just since I've showed you those two scales, we're going to call this major pentatonic. But we're borrowing a couple of notes from the minor pentatonic, the flat 7 and the 4. So if you're into modes or you want to learn modes, this is actually a Mixolydian mode or a 7 scale. But we're going to call it major pentatonic, and we're borrowing a couple of notes from your minor pentatonic, your flat 7 and your 4. So you're going. Oh, I'm sorry. Now we'll slide down. Get a couple more blues notes. It's a little run that was part of the tune. And back to that. Okay, so again, on this one we're coming down up to the major pentatonic. We're hitting that like the minor in box B. Then slide up. So we're going. So what I want you to recognize now from a learning standpoint is the pattern and the scale you're in. Right here you're in the minor. You could do it that way. But we're going this way for ease, and I wanted you to learn that other box pattern again. Still minor pentatonic. Borrowing a little note. Then the third, the fourth, the fifth. It's a little kind of blues riff. Kind of reminds me of Bootsy Collins a little bit from Palladium. You do just some funky stuff, playing these really high notes, playing the high stuff. Part of the song, which is kind of a little bridge. Now on that part, we're going the A. We're doing octaves to the C. Again, that's minor pentatonic. And then we're back down here. F sharp to a G. So this F sharp would be part of your major pentatonic. This is borrowed from the minor pentatonic. Do a little thing on your octaves. You got A here, 12th fret, there's your octave. That part of the song is actually going. And then where you're doing the octaves, it's actually going. So the chords are changing, but you're staying on a pedal tone. And that is how the scales are used. I'm going to go ahead and click it off, come back, do one more. And if you like what you're hearing, go ahead and hit like, go ahead and show all your friends, you're getting free bass lessons, and we'll see if we can keep them all free. I'll be right back.